On today's Poker Live podcast, me and Phil Galfond will give you the answers to all of the world's problems, in addition to discuss the launch of his upcoming poker site, which is kind of in beta mode right now, kind of potentially, hopefully sometime soon in officially launch mode, Run It Once Poker. What's going on, guys? Joining one, aka Chicago Joey here, back doing a podcast. Been a few weeks since we've been on the podcast grind, but I've been a little bit inspired lately to do some more podcast content, and called up my man Phil Galfond. I said, Phil, we need to do an update for Run It Once Poker. We need to update the fans. He recently just announced some new news about a streamer program where if you stream poker on Run It Once on Twitch and hopefully on YouTube, you can earn yourself up to 110% rake back. They'll be paying you to stream poker. Dear God, where was that in 2009? I needed that badly for my few. I needed that for many years in poker. I would have made a lot. I don't know. Maybe it was a bad. Maybe I didn't want that. Actually, it might be a bad thing for me. But all I know is they're coming up with some cool ideas. They were in beta mode. Phil had some video up there of himself playing. We're going to talk more about that as well. We're going to talk to all my people out there in the chat right now. We're joined by my man, Phil Galfond. Phil Galfond, welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, Joey. Always a pleasure to be here. I don't remember the last time we had a podcast, had it really just been one announcement, like one post up on the new site?
There wasn't much information. Yeah, correct.
Yeah,
It was still in the discovery mode, in the exploration mode. And right now I feel like we got 6 posts up there. Last post was about the streaming information. Post before that was about the beta information. The post before that was about the table cap information, which a table cap looks like it's going to be 6 tables total. And maybe we talked about that in private, but I don't know if we talked about this on a podcast though. But yeah, let's kind of get into where Run It Once Poker stands right now, man. What's the status of everything?
Man, so I made you saw this post was recent, and before that I made a video on my way home from Malta. I was there for a couple weeks, and made a kind of quick video from the airport, just updating on the status. We had the last beta test we had, there was like this one substantial bug that was substantial, which was just a lag between hands. So a hand would finish, and at first it was like a couple seconds passed before the next hand starts. And as we had more and more players join and more time passed, the lag grew. And by the end of the beta session was up to, for some people, 30, 45 seconds, which is obviously not acceptable. And so we very quickly replicated that bug on our own servers and tested internally. Thought we had a fix. Long story short, it took a long time to fix. I think we were trying to have a beta planned by yesterday. Right now, the next test, we think we fixed it, is the short story. And we're hoping to have a beta next week, but we haven't scheduled it yet because we just need to do more internal testing to make sure. But the plan is, really, it's tough to give a concrete plan because it really is like we've got it so close, and when we run a beta and it goes very successfully, then we're going to run another with more people and another for longer, and then we'll be ready, or realize that we're ready. Essentially, we've done a lot of internal testing, basically every day, or not basically every day we're testing internally, but there are some things you don't find out till you have like real users from different places that are doing things that who knows what they're doing. So
who knows what they're doing, Phil?
Exactly.
Who knows what kind of programs they're running? Who knows what kind of script they got loaded up next to who knows what kind of real-time solver they got loaded up next to the table right there. I don't know if you've encountered any real-time solvers in the beta testing quite yet, Phil, but yeah, it sounds fun. It sounds very fun. It sounds entertaining. It sounds very different from playing poker itself. It sounds like a whole new challenge. How are you enjoying this challenge of putting together a poker site with software from scratch? It isn't like you're like a site. Let's take an example of like America's Card Room, right? A site with no security on the site, rumored. I'm actually working on an investigation. There are more bots found on the site that have been running the entire year. Not a big surprise to anyone out there, but they purchased their software from someone else, software that's been around for a very long time. Whereas you guys are building your own software, which is something that isn't often done in poker. Most of the companies, they just sort of repurpose software or buy other software, and that's sort of how it's done. But you guys are building this all from scratch. So you're basically encountering bugs and issues that there's no blueprint on how to fix these things. It's just it's going to be unique to the software that you guys are building.
Well, it's been a journey. There are times that it's been really fun. Certainly, all of the. I mean, I really love the team that we have, and it's been really fun. Just any kind of like all the creative aspects of building the software and just the company has it's been really fun. I've enjoyed that. There are small wins here and there, and those are really fun to share with the team that's been working really hard. But I mean, realistically, over the last couple of years, we've had kind of more losses than wins. So it's been a trying year. But I think that once it's starting to get more fun again because we're really like seeing the light at the end of the tunnel very closely. And it kind of feels like it could be any day now that it's just ready to go. And so it's getting fun again. There were rough months, there were good months, and it's it's been fun recently. But it's totally new challenge. It's completely different than poker. It's completely different than a training site as well, because I don't know, the training site, we did some things differently, but not. I mean, we made another training site. There were no surprises really.
Bang bang.
Well, I'm just saying there were a lot of training sites.
You're bang banging yourself. Bang bang.
Yeah.
You throw yourself a bang bang, and you take a shot at yourself. I gotta call the shot out for yourself there.
Yeah, but no, realistically, I think that it's been like I don't think I was like overly confident in my own abilities at like running a business, but there was definitely some opening run at once training made it feel a little too easy. Like we just launched a training site. We didn't really do much marketing. We focused a lot on the content and the site itself, and it was pretty quickly the top training site. And right. It was just like, oh, okay, I guess we're pretty good at this. While I obviously knew that a poker site is a much bigger challenge, and we have a much bigger team and people with more experience than me on the team and things like that, it has definitely been like it's made me realize that my experience starting the training site was not really much in the way of business experience. Mm-hmm. Like it was just a very not typical startup.
Yeah, I've been thinking about this a lot in poker world, and I think a lot of the companies that have either even been poker sites in a lot of ways, and companies that are related to, I guess, the software sites or the training sites. I think a lot of the sites were almost successful by default, just because poker was so popular that you could have a subpar strategy when it comes to marketing, when it comes to creating content, when it comes to getting the word out there, and you could still have a good amount of success without actually having to learn how to do those things. And I think that the marketing and the effort that was put into poker in the early 2000s and late 2000s through all of the Full Tilt dollars and PokerStars dollars they were putting into mainstream content like Poker After Dark and like the main event and like episodes like that. I think that basically the effort that went into that basically fueled all the other things that came after that. And you didn't necessarily have to have a really good plan. Whereas right now in 2018, I feel like you do need to worry about that a little bit more because no one's really putting the effort into marketing anything to that high of degree anymore in poker. So I think it's going to be a challenge to sort of, I think that's one of the biggest challenges Run It Once Poker faces is just getting the word out there and letting people know that, hey, this is what we have to offer. This is why you should play the site. This is why you should try the site. Then getting them on the site and then keeping them on the site. And I feel like that's going to be a challenge.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a challenge, and it's one of the ways to do that is the topic of my last post, of course, which is Twitch, which has become it's not new for that. I mean, it's actually newish for a lot of focus from poker sites to be on Twitch, but like I said in the post, I feel like. Despite the fact that we'll be doing what we can in like getting the word out in other ways, traditional ways, I do think it's really important that we were able to come up with a way to get the community involved, because the community, I think, is, thankfully still with us after all this time, and kind of our biggest asset that not all the other sites have. We've been fortunate that, the community, I think, knows that we're trying to build something that's going to help poker. That's like what drove us to start Run It Once Poker. And so, despite the challenges we faced and delays we faced, I mean, basically because of the delays, they're still rooting for us. They're still excited about the site, and still, like, I get messages, "Hey man, how can I help?" And I don't even know what to say yet, because there's not a lot to do yet. But this program, getting people to stream and giving them rewards, like, it was really important to make it so that if people were trying, they could get something, like, even if, no matter how small they are, because like you, I mean, you've built a successful YouTube channel, but I would imagine at the beginning it was slow going. I honestly don't remember. Or did you have a similar experience to with Run It Once training, where it was like you started going and it was?
Well, I was basically posting all the time on the high stakes PLO forum on 2+2 and playing the high stakes. So that was, I mean, I already had an audience just from all the stuff I was doing in online poker. So right away, I had a few thousand people that watched my stuff, and
Cool.
I didn't put any effort into it. There was no strategy. I was like, hey, I'm going to get my friends on that I know. Like the first few people on, like the Ford on, all the PLO guys, like Karaman came on. All the guys, Doug came on. It's just, that's how it started. And then I just it was successful there. There was no plan. Content wasn't like it was now, where everyone's got a podcast in every single part of the world, and everyone's doing YouTube videos. Everyone's trying to hack the algorithms on here. Back then, it was just like, I don't give a fuck what the comments are. I don't care what people like it. I don't care. I'm just going to do it. I know it's going to work because it's me talking to someone else about poker. I know that I'm going to find it interesting. I know that some people out there find it interesting, and that's really all that mattered to me at the time. Whereas now it feels like there's so much more calculation that goes into things and all that kind of stuff. And
so you had the Run It Once training, like, experience with your podcast starting, but a lot of people that would be starting now, and especially like starting streams on Twitch, it's going to be slow at first, unless they already have a following somewhere.
Well, the thing is also, why Run It Once Poker was successful at first. Well, you built up that success at poker over many, many, many years. So you're leveraging your expertise and success at poker. So it's not like it just was popular by default in a lot of ways. It was popular because it was coming from you accomplishing these other things. And plus the other players that you had making content on the site were also great players too. So I think it's a combination of different effects. And plus your videos in the past with Blue Fire and with the other videos that you created were so good, and they've helped out so many players that, well, of course they're going to support Run It Once when the training site launches, because you've shown yourself to give them an immense amount of value and getting better at poker.
Well, thank you. But I guess, we had a leg up for a lot of reasons. But definitely looking back, it was not a GTO business strategy that we employed. We made a good product.
What'd you know? I mean, you learn on the fly. Like you didn't. What'd you really know going into things? That'd be the question I'd ask. Yeah, no, I mean, going into it, we focused on just like the website and the product, which is what we got right. So yeah, man, we're business. We're not businessmen. We're not professional business people. Although I feel like we're trying to get better at that. Yeah, play poker. All the energy goes into poker, and playing poker much different than starting a business where you have people working for you and you're trying to please customers and all this kind of stuff like that. So yeah, it's been, and that's the other difference between the poker site and the training site is I still played poker full time until probably a couple of years ago, and now I'm really like working on the business full time. So it's just a much different life these last couple of years than it was before. Entrepreneur Galfond. Yeah. Entrepreneur Galfond in the house, man. So let's talk about the last announcement you made, which is about the streamers getting. So if you start off streaming and you get 200 hours of watch time, you get 50% rate. So what's the 50% rake back for there? And then as it goes up, there's different tiers. There's 50%, 75, 100, and then 110%, which will be the one I would get when I go out of the country and start streaming on the site for a little bit. So that's the one I'm going to be. I'm going to get the 110% rake back, because that's easy. That's light work right there. So let's talk about this program. And this is one of my favorite ideas I've seen from a poker site, because it's a win-win in that it incentivizes people to stream. You're also going to be providing tools to help those streamers grow and get better. It gets people to see the site through the different stream. through those streams, content is then created, and that is then spread out there on the social media sites, and then more people get an opportunity to see the site and then potentially want to try the site out. So I feel like it's a win-win-win all around for all angles involved here.
Awesome. I'm glad you like it. And I mean, I can't take credit. I mentioned the post is Run Once Pro Elias Gutierrez came up with the idea. And I mean, we've played around with it a lot. We've done a lot of research, things like that. But yeah, I'm really excited about it. Right now, the streaming landscape before this is essentially, you know, there are a lot of rewards at the very top. But to get started in streaming, it's really like a long journey before you see anything back from it. And a lot of people will never see anything back from it. Just because they're not going to reach that top tier. So yeah, I'm really excited to get everybody involved, and I mean, the response has been great. People are excited to stream. And I think
this
actually,
is a genius idea. I'm gonna be honest with you. This is a sick idea, because if you're a streamer out there and you're streaming poker, you're basically advertising for the site. So now you're advertising for all these different sites. Well, this site's gonna pay it at, like, okay. I mean, I would expect that other sites are going to take this and do the same thing, because why not? Why wouldn't they do that? I'm not quite sure. And especially if Run It Once starts building traction in the streaming game, then we're going to see some other sites copy that, which, once again, great for players, great for streamers. And hopefully it gives like a little boost to the streaming community out there. Because right now I feel like you have certain streamers that are sort of entrenched in these power positions of establishing themselves at a certain rank. And, you know, maybe some of the streamers have become a little bit repetitive. I mean, people like that. I'm not sure. Maybe they like the repetitiveness of what they get to see from these people out there. So hopefully this will give an opportunity out there to have new personalities incentivized to stream, and maybe bring a different angle and energy and excitement to the streaming game, and maybe break things up a little bit from the streaming community.
Yeah. And I think, I mean, like you said, I don't know, there are a lot of things that we, I mean, this is a good example of something that I think is just a good way to do things and good for the community. And if we do get copied and undercut, it's still a win for the community. And also we'll still have some people support us, even if it's not every small streamer. But like, yeah, the thing is, a lot of people want to support us. And also a lot of people, I mean, have been on the fence about streaming anyways. I think a lot of people like have thought to themselves, oh, I'd maybe like to stream. And they just never get around to like really looking into it or buying equipment and stuff, because they just have their lives going. And I think this is a nice like kick to get people started. And a lot of people, there are a lot of people I think that would have probably started streaming to support Run It Once anyways for no rewards. And so I'm especially glad that they get something too.
Phil, I'd like to apply for a position at Run It Once Poker right now. The position I would like to apply for is bot checker. All right. Any account that is suspected of being a bot, leave me fucking in charge of it. Let me deal with these motherfuckers. Okay. I'm gonna fly to where they're at. I want to see you in action. I want to watch you play. I want you to go over all of your thoughts. And then I want to compare it to the hands that you've played as a bot. And we're going to shut these bots down, Phil. I'm taking a grassroots effort, like that guy you start back in the CIA days. What's that guy's name? I don't know his name, Phil, but I'm coming after these motherfuckers, Phil. I'm ready.
All right, let's do it.
I'm ready. I'm coming after now the real-time software guys, Phil. This is something I've been hearing a lot about from the players who are currently still grinding at the mid and high stakes, is that real-time software, they're very worried about that. And this is something we've talked about in the past, but I want to revisit the subject again, because I feel like those are going to only get better and better. What's going on with real-time software, and how do we put a stop to the real-time software, Phil?
Yeah. So, I mean, real-time, like, and solvers in real time are essentially just bots. It's just that they're not doing the clicking, right? The humans doing the clicking. And for the most part, you stop them the same way you catch most bots, which is either statistical analysis, because they're still gonna like have the bot strategy, or like well, we're like financial irregularities. So it's not, I mean, bot detection is a very serious issue. And it's something I've talked about in several of my posts, like as part of everything we've done. The real-time solvers still need to figure out like what the action is, what the cards are. And while there's always going to be a way around it, we've made it more annoying on our site than any other site. they can't. So like a lot of decisions were made with this in mind. We don't have like table chat with the, action being written. We don't have like a similar kind of like, we don't have the hand histories coming in real time like the other sites do. We also don't have play money games where these developers can sit and test and build their stuff. They have to actually sit in real money games to start building what would have to be, I guess, a screen scraper, which is possible, of course. And then we have some issues like or some things like you don't have table selection, which there are some bots that try to collude sharehold card information.
Who knew that?
And they're not going to be able to choose to sit with each other. I mean, if they want to keep table hopping till they can confirm with,
if they want to keep table hopping, Poppy bot checker's gonna find out.
Yeah,
that bot man's gonna find out. I'm gonna see, you doing some regularities with your table jumping methods. Okay, I'm coming for you. I'm coming to your house.
Exactly.
Sometimes
but yeah,
sometimes you just need someone insane to just say, you know what, I'm dedicating my life to this, man. I know it's a failed life. I know it won't work out, but I'm dedicating my life to this. Okay.
All right, you're hired.
Listen, I'm just fired. I'm trying to. These guys. I'm coming for them, Phil. I'm coming for these motherfuckers. I know they can. I know all they do is start a new account, and it's easy. I know. I've seen the programs. I know how the programs work. I know. I get it. It's easy. But maybe what about a reward program, Phil? You report a bot, or you report some sort of deficiency in our software where a real-time solver can do this or real-time software can do that. You point it out. You show me what's working. Show me how it works. Whatever. You give them a reward.
That's actually pretty interesting. So we have a few consultants right now that are essentially trying to do that, but they're paid. We have direct contracts with them. Kind of like the idea of a reward, although, yeah, I think I do. But then we have to. I like it. Okay, I'll talk to the team.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming. I'm brainstorming out. Like, continue on what you were saying. I'm fired up. I don't know. I got fired. We start talking about this now. Now okay.
Yeah. No, I mean it's obviously a big deal, and in addition to, like I said, we have consultants. We have our own game integrity department, and we have also like one of our consultants is a company that does this. So we are taking it seriously, and on top of that, then like on top of the bot detection, we're doing a lot of things for bot, not prevention necessarily, but annoyances, like making Run It Once Poker the most annoying site to bot, and like making it so that if you build a bot that works on another site, it's not going to work on Run It Once Poker. So you're going to have to build, a specific one for Run It Once Poker, and it's going to be more annoying to build. And also we'll be making a lot of changes to our software in the coming months, and in the first year, as we're still a new site. So even like it's just extra annoyance if they take the time to get something that works with our software and we make some major changes, then they just have to start all over. And yeah.
No, go ahead.
I'm just saying, obviously, so for people who are less informed, I think I'm worried that this could sound like oh, well, he's just trying to annoy them. But realistically, like people who build software for a living can figure things out. Like if there's a challenge, they can figure something out in almost all cases, and you have to try to stay ahead of them. And so the combination of detection plus hassle approach that we're taking is, I think, a very strong way to go about it.
Well, I want to let them know. I got people undercover in your operations, bot creators. All right. I got people undercover in your operations telling me what's going on with your operations. All right. So you guys better watch out. I know what's happening. Stick to ACR. All right. They don't give a fuck. You think Phil Nagy here don't care? Stick to ACR. Stick to sites that don't care. But you ain't coming for Run It Once Poker, man. We got people on the inside. Just like nice. The FBI sent them undercover, Phil. I got undercover operatives working for the bot networks, working for the people that host the bots. I'm telling you right now, man.
Nice.
You guys better watch your friends. Better watch yourselves, man. We're coming. Are we going to confiscating the money, Phil? You detect these bots or what?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, part of detection, like you just have to make it minus EV. You have to make it so that they, it's so much effort to try in the first place, and then you catch enough of them, and then the punishments are harsh enough.
I've thought about this a lot. I feel like there's definitely, and this is my thing about the ACR thing. There's things you can detect on the back end in terms of how accounts operate, how they move around, how they move money, their play styles, their play patterns, their table selection patterns. I feel like you can detect when authentic players, how they authentically move around in terms of a back end. That the only things you can see on the back end, whereas in the front end you can only see so much. But I feel like I don't know how many people are dedicated to doing this, but that's I feel like that's I wouldn't say an easy way, but that's certainly a way to be able to detect people that do use this type of programs or these type of softwares. And people are watching this like I'm fired up about this. I'm very fired up about this because these are the biggest winners on some sites right now out there. These guys are crushing. This is not like this isn't a small issue. It's a massive fucking issue for me and for a lot of their players out there. So any sort of extra effort, and I see how you have certain sites like an ACR do it and they don't do anything for it and their cash games are completely ruined. So if this isn't stopped and a major effort isn't put into this, then people say you can't stop them, but you can at least try to stop them. We call it the anti-ACR approach. You try, you put an effort, you give it a shot. All right. You don't just sit there in Costa Rica fucking drinking a margarita with a couple of women by yourself. You don't do that in stream. Whatever, man. I don't know. I'm fired up about this, Phil.
Yeah, no, it's a bit like years ago when the bots were, just had to be like short stack, small stakes bots to win, because that's all they could win at. It wasn't as much of a concern, but now the actual strategy of bots is getting stronger and stronger. And so the detection is definitely like, one of the biggest parts of running a poker site, maybe the biggest in 2018, 2019, and going forward.
No, I agree. I think that that's definitely a big issue. What do you feel like are some of the other issues on the horizon as you embark into a point which we never thought would come, which this site's going to be officially launched? Dear God, you remember back in 2016 or something like that?
I do remember, Joey. The biggest issue for any site that's just starting is liquidity out the gate. So, we'll have our marketing efforts, and I know we have a lot of people ready, a lot of people signed up, already testing, things like that. But, there's a big question mark. I don't know. Like, there's like I don't even have like a specific range in my head right now. Of course, we've thrown some numbers around, but like, it could really be like from here to here in terms of like on the low end or the high end, like 10x as many people as I expect, or 1/10. I'm not saying it well, but like there's no way to know how many people are going to show up when we do finally open the doors, and it matters a lot, because the people that do show up, if they have few games to choose from, then they're less likely to come back or to stick around. And so that's what I think is the biggest challenge out of the gate for us, and kind of the biggest. I think the first week will be very telling, and I'm of course very hopeful and excited. And I know that there are enough people who are eager to try us out right away, and I hope that puts it on the higher end of my estimates in terms of liquidity. But I would say liquidity is the biggest thing, and then of course, the reason we do all the testing internally and the reason we do the beta tests is so that we are very confident that there's not going to be a big kind of software issue or crash or something like that. But of course, as we launch and test in a way that we haven't tested before, because it's always different with real users from a whole bunch of different places and a whole bunch of different computers, things like that, there's always that risk. So I would say those are the two biggest risks: are lower liquidity than we expect, and then a software issue that we don't foresee.
I think an important question out there, and this isn't a joke, guys out there. Some of you guys might think I'm joking around when I say this, but is there going to be an affiliate program for people that get people to play on Run It Once Poker? And I asked that for a specific reason, but I want to know if that's going to be the case.
There's going to be something. It's not built yet. It's not finished yet.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be something sometime soon-ish, and I don't know if it'll be there in time, but it'll be. I don't know why I need to be cryptic about it. It's gonna be like a refer a friend program that'll be open to anybody.
So I asked this because I've been, I think one of the best marketing strategies currently happening in poker is a lot with these underground poker sites. And who is marketing these underground poker sites are these agents, these middlemen. Who are these agents? It's anyone. It's a lot of these Instagram influencers who built up a little following. They are promoting these little clubs, and then they're selling these clubs. These are people who are Canadian, who are American, who are from all over the world that are signing up to play in these clubs. But the only reason they're finding out about these clubs is through these agents and through these Instagram influencers and through word of mouth. And what incentivizes these Instagram influencers to promote this agent site is that they get a percentage of the rake that these people then contribute there. So if you look at what PokerStars is doing, or a Party Poker, or what other sites are doing, they don't currently have a system like this in place. And obviously this was a thing that was used back in the day in terms of getting players to sites and incentivizing people out there to find other players to come to your site. But I think especially in 2018 right now, there is a wealth of these influencers out there who are trying to make money off of their audience, trying to make money off of anyone that they know, because they're all about making money. So I really believe that having a program like this set up, and maybe even working together with those influencers out there and saying, hey, promote this, you get these here, I think that is a very good thing for the community, because what's happening is we're seeing a lot of scams take place through these agent sites and through these sites, like the clubs, in that you have a random person who's unfamiliar with how the system works sending this agent money. And now if that agent steals the money, or if the club shuts down and steals the money, there's two opportunities for you as someone looking to play to get scammed and lose all your money. Whereas with a site like Run It Once, if you have those people referring people to Run It Once, well, now you have your money secured. You don't have to rely on the agent or the operator to take your fucking money from you. Hopefully, Phil. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's a very big, important thing in getting the word out there and getting new players in the site, is having the influencers that are in the community spread the message for you and get it out there for you.
Yeah, I agree. I think so the agents are working in those cases as both an affiliate and a payment provider, in essence, which a different topic. But yeah, I think that
maybe a dinner topic.
The thing about like sites used to give a lot of why can't I think? Not revenue share, but like rake. Yeah, give you a percentage of MGR, and then they basically all the sites stop paying people for the most part. And so a lot of larger affiliates won't accept any deals like that, where you're giving them a percentage of rake, because they've been burned by sites in the past. Apparently, like the way the contracts work, they can just stop paying when they feel like stopping. The challenge with giving like a percentage of rake rather than a like CPA, cost per like deposit, essentially, is that the incentives are not aligned. They kind of used to think that they were. So with a site like Run It Once Training, if we give somebody X percentage of what somebody pays there, that works. Like our incentives are aligned. The affiliate, if the person's making the company more money, is making the affiliate more money. But with a poker site, the ecology is such that somebody who's raking a lot is not necessarily making the poker site money. Like in theory they are, because they're paying rake. But if they're winning players, then this is what we see.
How many people are winning? Come on, let's be honest.
Well, no, I'm just saying, but like,
I mean, come on.
But the highest raking players are winners, almost always. Right?
I mean,
or like,
are they? I don't know. I mean, come on.
They're more often than the lower raking players. But anyways, yeah, the thing is, like, the players that, I don't know, this is maybe too weird of a tangent or long of a tangent, but
no, I see what you're saying. I 100% see where you're coming from on that standpoint. I guess to me, it seems like something where it could be, it's something you could try out and then reevaluate from that standpoint in time and say, okay, well, that didn't work, or this sucked, or whatever. But all I know is I just see it working. Yeah. So I see that being a model where you have these players on sites who don't usually play online poker, One, because they don't necessarily know where. Two, because the major poker sites like a PokerStars has such a bad reputation for these mass it's marketed as like, still people know it as this mass tabling, all these grinders on there, or bots or cheating, whatever's happening on there. But these players are very comfortable playing on these agent sites. So I'm just trying to think why that is. How do they get there? Well, they trust the random Instagram influencer with 6,000 followers on there that they don't fucking know, but they like their post a little bit. They trust that person. So then they're okay, well, I'll play on this site. Or I heard these games are soft through this person, this person, that person too. So I'm just trying to figure out, okay, well, how can that model then be carried over to a site like a Run It Once or to another poker site as well too? Because I know other people out there that work for poker sites are going to be watching this. They're going to be taking these ideas in. They're going to be thinking about the ideas, and they're going to say, oh man, that's we haven't had someone in house bring an idea like that in fucking 7 years. So, and that is what it is. Bang bang. That is what it is. We've seen a lot of stagnation in terms of the creative aspect of marketing and of ideas in the poker industry in these last few years. And you're
thinking along, like, it's the right way to think. Is these things are working for certain people, so what part of it is what's working, and how can we apply it to something else? I mean, with those sites, there are a lot of other factors. Like they're making they're not like making you verify your identity. Nope. You're able to play from wherever, and it's easier to move money, presumably. Sure. So like those are things that could also be contributing to.
Oh, for sure. I mean, listen, when you can send money on PayPal to Larry.
Yeah.
Or you don't know Larry. I mean, you can send money to PayPal Larry gets you money on the site. Well, that's going to be a lot easier than having to go through this or go through that. So yeah, that barrier to entry to get them money, and it's so easy. And I think that you look at Global Poker when they had PayPal as an option, that was a very easy thing. You go on there, you play, whatever, you're on there. So yeah, I mean, if you can deposit on these widespread monetary systems out there like a PayPal and now like maybe a crypto, even though people are kind of jumping off the cryptocurrency bandwagon. Now that cryptocurrency's failed and nobody likes a loser. So what's the status of cryptocurrency right now? Are we going to get crypto as a deposit and a withdrawal option on the site?
Almost definitely. I actually haven't been updated in a couple of weeks on it. I haven't checked, but it was very close as of a couple of weeks ago. So I think so. I mean, we will definitely get it. I think so for launch. We'll definitely get it at some point in the near future. And that's going to start to be an option, I think, on a lot of sites, as like, especially because Malta is like so crypto friendly these days. A lot of sites like us are licensed in Malta. So that's coming, I think, everywhere. But yeah, I think we'll have it very soon, or I think we'll either have it at launch or soon after.
So
which I think is important. Yeah,
100%. I mean, that's super important in terms of being able to put that money online. Yeah,
it's super important not only for poker players, but also to potentially reach people in crypto that are more poker casual players. If they have that deposit option, I think it opens the door quite a bit.
I mean, I think this all goes back to marketing. You get yourself into the cryptocurrency world through the influencers in the cryptocurrency space, and you say, hey, we'll bring you on this site if you can promote this. I mean, this all goes back to marketing, and you've kind of seen PokerStars try some ideas like this in the past, where they have the esports players, or they have the sports athletes. Kind of they go for that top line influencer in a lot of different ways. And we've seen something with the Unibet where they sponsor these esports gamers, and then they try to leverage the esports gamers audience, and they try to leverage them onto their platform as well too. So we've seen things like this tried in the past, but I don't think it's necessarily been tried very well and on a very consistent basis. And I think there's a lot more improvement you could do in terms of that area, but that's just kind of deciding where do you want to allocate your resources and your time spent from a marketing standpoint, and how much, it's only so much energy you have as a team to spread around.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think your ideas and mine align pretty closely on that. And it's kind of, I mean, what influenced us to do a program like this for Twitch, but there are obviously influencers in other areas besides Twitch. It's just one small piece of the puzzle.
I just kind of think about it from a cryptocurrency standpoint. There's obviously a lot of money in cryptocurrency still.
Yeah.
And that's how some people have the majority of their money right now. They have it in cryptocurrency. So it seems like that would be a pretty important area to go after and try to get people that have access to a larger source of income right there at their fingertips to easily be. And then it's a very easy process to deposit, to withdraw.
Yep.
If you withdraw, I suppose.
Yeah, no,
if
that's
you withdraw. Bang,
getting getting that option, getting Bitcoin deposits in was one of our. I mean, it was our biggest focus in payments, in terms of payments. But everything's harder than you think. Like there's, I mean, not just technically, but finding the provider and then getting approval from the regulators and paperwork. I mean, I don't do the paperwork myself, luckily, because I would have no idea what to do. But yeah, I think we'll have it in, and that's.
Are you worried about not knowing what to do? Because that obviously leaves you open to a lot of out of line activity that could potentially be taking place without your knowledge, because you just don't have the knowledge to then understand that.
No, we have people that I trust very much who do know what they're doing with paperwork and things like that.
Good. I like to hear. Yeah. You don't want to have a rogue support agent going out there on Twitter and 2+2 saying random things that are completely ridiculously awful for the company. So you don't want to.
Yeah, yeah. No, the nice thing about, and obviously we hope we grow, but the nice thing about having a small team is like, you know, everybody, and yeah, we're good.
So you got no problem taking them out back, shooting them in the head, Pablo Escobar style. They get out of line, right?
Is that what I was implying?
That's what Pablo. Listen, man, I've been watching Narcos. You know what they do? You get out of line, they shoot you in the damn head, or they feed you the hippos. Man, they're crazy over there. That's one way to ensure your team doesn't get out of line. Yeah. I'm gonna kill you, Pablo Escobar style. That'd be a way.
But a lot of what works there, keeping them in line, is just they know what he'll do. He doesn't necessarily have to do it, and like saying I don't have to do it. They just know.
They know. You got that strap ready?
They know.
Okay. I like that, man. So let's talk about the rake. So during the beta testing, I believe the rake was what, 4%, 4.5%? What's the rake situation look like percentage-wise here?
The beta rake has nothing to do with what our rake structure will be, which is the topic of my next post, which will probably be the last update. Yeah. So the answer is that was just what we were doing.
Give us a teaser, Phil. Give us a little nugget. In my next blog post, I will reveal that the rake percentage will fall somewhere in between, and then that's you. You do that, and then I post that on Twitter, and then people get excited. They want to tune into the blog post. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know if I could do like a soundbite. I could talk a little bit about our approach to rake and rake back, which is
I'd love to hear it.
So, which I guess this would end up being like the intro to my next post, but essentially the way that I view rake and rake back is it just ends up being like you set what you think is a good goal for net rake, net rake is a term I talked about before, which is going to be like what they pay after they get rewards, essentially. And then, well, there are two things. One, what is like a good level of net rake is dependent on a lot of factors, and essentially like the main factor, or kind of the summary, the gist of what the factors are, is basically how beatable the games are. Beatability of the games is the biggest thing. So for example, like Zoom games have lower win rates than non-Zoom games. Mm-hmm. And so Zoom games should have lower rake than non-Zoom games, in my opinion, just because of achievable win rates. Like that's what rake has to relate to, because essentially, like the way that the site is making money is losing players are losing to winning players, but at the same time, people are paying rake. And if the rake is too high, then not enough is going to the winning players. Too much is going to the site. If the rake is too low or the win rates are astronomically high, then too much is going to the players. Not enough is going to the site. And so, like, true, fair, right numbers is going to depend on the situation. And we're going to do our best, and we've done a lot of analysis to try to figure out what levels we think are our best guesses. But we need data also. So once we start running the games, we see like the game quality, the player pool composition. We see how people are doing. Like, hopefully we don't plan to raise rake after our initial rake is set. But I really hope we don't have to.
I wouldn't say that.
I really hope we won't have to. I think more likely.
You never know.
No. Well, here's the thing: if the games are set up in such a way where like the players, like the winners are winning, 95% of what the losing players are losing, and the site's getting 5%, then something needs to change.
Mhm.
But I don't think that'll happen. But we'll probably like lower it at some stakes, but not others, based on what we learn about the player pools as we go. But that's one topic, is that I believe that fair rake in one game type is different than fair rake in another game type. Fair rake in one economy and like even year to year might be different. And actually what we've seen so far is like games have been getting tougher over the past several years, and in some places rake is getting higher, which is the opposite of what should happen when games are getting tougher. So that's one area of my belief. The other is when you have that net rake that you think is the fair net rake, the question of whether you just go with that being your actual rake and no rake back, no rewards, or you go with like a much higher rake with higher rake back and higher rewards, for the most part is a kind of a marketing decision, what you think people will like the most as a whole. And obviously there are different groups of people who are going to pay attention to different things. So yeah, what I can say is that we've done a lot of analysis to figure out those targets for what we think is fair net rake, and then had a lot of discussion about the best way to reach that point.
No rake back for anyone.
There's not. Is that what you think?
No rake back for anyone. I've seen it work too often. It just works. I'm sorry. It just works. I mean, nope, not good for a player like me who's going after that 110% rake back from the streaming deal. The stream R, by the way, whoever thought of that idea was, listen, we got a creative guy over at Rona once with the marketing promotion material. He said streamer instead of streamer. They made it stream with the R, with the R's the Rona once logo. They designed some nice promotional material around that. So I was really enjoying that. Whoever came up with that idea, great work. Nice
shout out to Dan.
Shout out to Dan. Keep up the good work, Dan. That was some good shit right there. I was very much into that. But I don't know. I mean, we can talk about this. I'm not married to the idea of no rake back, by the way, guys. But when you look at some sites out there where the best games have been, a lot of times they don't necessarily have rake back on the site, and with a lower rake percentage in general, maybe that's the option to go with.
Well, there are a couple of things. Again, like if you're talking about like an ignition.
This is, by the way, a statement I believe in the least I've said. I've actually thought about this until.
No, there's not a clear answer. I don't think there's a clear answer. But I mean, are some of these sites that you're talking about also sites where there are more deposit options and fewer like verification checks, and you can play for more places?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know if we can
offer sites that offer poker to Americans. Yes, that's what we're talking about here.
Yes. So I mean, I don't know if that correlation is.
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
Is necessarily
Let me revisit my thought. That's actually a really great point. That's a phenomenal point. It's true.
Yeah.
That's true. You're right.
But no, I definitely think that for some players, they're going to be more drawn to the low rake, no rake back. For other players, they're going to be more drawn to the higher rake with a lot of rake back. And in the end, it's the same thing, but we just have to guess what the most people will be drawn to.
That's true. I mean, I think about from my perspective in terms of the area of cash games right now that is not focused on at all. I mean, honestly, it's kind of embarrassing. You have these poker sites that have been operating for so long. They've essentially been using the same exact method of approach to the microstakes cash game ecosystem that they used in 2007. And it just doesn't make much sense to me when I think about it from that standpoint, because I believe that you filter the players in. The players start at microstakes and then they work their way up. But how it is right now is that if you're not good at the game and the rake's so high, how are you ever going to work your way up? So I feel like there should be more emphasis placed on building up a healthy microstakes ecosystem in order to funnel those players up, because you obviously know that the players get funneled up, the money gets funneled up. The ability to play 5-10 is you got to beat 2-5. You got to beat 1, 2. You got to beat these stakes to get up there along the way. But if you were, it's just like the chain of command sort of got broken. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, is that something that you're thinking about putting more emphasis on in building a healthy micro stakes cash game ecosystem?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think that micro stakes, the lower the stakes you go, the higher the rake is, compared to big blinds per 100, or, compared to big blinds. And I don't think you can, well, you could, I guess, but I don't think you make it like flat, like it's just the same big blinds the whole way. And then high stakes is super high rake compared to what it is now. Because obviously win rates at lower stakes are going to be, achievable win rates will be the highest at lower stakes. So I think like the progression from, kind of higher rake per big blind at lower stakes to lower rake per big blind at higher stakes, I believe that's right. But I do think it's gotten too difficult at those lower stakes. At a lot of stakes, it's gotten too difficult. But yeah, especially at the micros.
For sure. I already thought of a bot detection, because you got a lot of these bots operating at the micro stakes and even the smaller stakes on a lot of these sites. And I mean, an easy way to detect these bots guys out there, Phil Nagy, if you're listening, is, okay, has this guy been playing the same stake for 1 year and winning at 20 big blinds per 100? That's a little strange. Okay. If a guy's playing the same stakes and has an absurd win rate for longer than a month, that's a red ding, 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 ding. Oh, light bulb on. Oh, wait a second. Maybe that could be maybe there's some inauthentic behavior going on there, Phil. That's a very good point.
It's a very good point. Although we do have, do you ever watch Tyler Forrester videos? I remember
the man, the myth, the legend, Googles knows himself. Are you for real? That guy is I love that.
I know, dude, but like he's somebody who he could have moved up, and he was just like, no, I'm just going to keep crushing.
That's true. He's also playing 2, 5, 5 cent, right? I'm not talking about he's not playing.
Yes,
2 cent. He's not the 5 cent, 10 cent for tabling for an entire year, playing 300,000 hands.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? Shout out, man. Big shout out. I like Tyler a lot, man. I haven't ever had him on the pod. When I was watching a lot of his vids, because he just like, nope, this is the play. This is what you do here.
Yeah.
There's no debate. It's just like, this is what you do.
It's very different than my coaching style.
Yeah.
No, just like, I don't know what to do, but here are all the things I'm thinking about. And then I just vomit words.
Yeah. He's like, you do this. That's it. It's okay.
Yeah.
Very, very simple man with a simple plan and a simple strategy. There's actually one saying that you used in your PLO tournament series that I use all the time in PLO tournaments, actually in almost any tournaments. And even it applies to cash games, which is the idea of the gentleman's agreement, Phil.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
That was it. Yeah, it is a good one.
I don't know. You went crazy during that series. You just decided to say the term gentleman's agreement as often as you could. I maybe had a bet with someone, I'm not sure. But you basically said anytime you 3-bet pre-flop, another person called, you were entering into a gentleman's agreement that you were going to get all the money in on the flop.
Yeah, it's just it's just what happens.
And you wanted to avoid gentleman's agreements, and I was like, man, I really want to I want to avoid getting in gentleman's agreements where I'm getting all in. So it's just like a term that I've incorporated into my internal poker vocabulary when I play that I love. So I appreciate you throwing that out there.
I'm glad there's always just a nugget that I've dropped somewhere along the line that just sticks with you. And thanks for holding on to them.
People still message me about what was the thing Phil told you that helped you when you were breaking even at PLO. What was the thing Phil said that helped you become your graph go straight up? And I say, I appreciate you reaching out and asking me. I don't know. I appreciate you reaching out and asking me. I don't know.
It is nice that they're reaching out and asking.
Let's talk about table cap, Phil. Table cap's going to be 6 tables. We went with 6 instead of 4. I believe there was a community vote in this situation.
There was.
What was the, what was this thinking behind 6 versus 4?
I was, so the reason we went to a vote is there was a lot of internal disagreement, not like heated disagreement. We were all like, I think, I thought 4 was better. Most people thought 6 was better. But I was the boss, so I got more votes, so it was pretty close.
What are you running? What do you guys like, North Korea? Is that how you guys operate over there? Kim Jong Galfond over here.
I just get 1 extra vote at least.
Okay, makes sense.
But I mean, table caps in general, like the argument for a table cap in general is the same as the argument for 4 instead of 6, which is just the game quality is going to be better. Not only in terms of just like achievable win rates, but also in terms of just like potentially speed of play and looseness of play if the table caps are lower. And you can shift the basically you change the ecosystem by lowering the table cap. Excuse me. By lowering the table cap. So obviously, one of probably the main thing that people have asked me along the way about is like, well, aren't the games going to be tough? And obviously I believe that we're going to be able to do okay in that department, but the decision to cap tables is part of, making sure that we're doing everything we can to make the games, as beatable as possible. And I think it's super important for us, but also now it's super important, I think, just for everybody. It's, in 2005 when it's just all recreational player. I mean, I was we were all like, nobody knew what they were doing. It just, the sites just wanted to let as many people play as many tables as possible and make more rake, and it didn't really matter. The games were great. But somewhere along the line, sticking with that same structure, I think, doesn't work. Stopped working or stopped being the right decision. But I wanted 4 a little bit. Some other people wanted 6. I think it's close, and the community voted and picked 6, which still I think.
Of course they did. I mean, that's to be expected when the place you have your poll is on Run It Once, which is going to be a majority of people who are looking to make money playing poker. I think they're going to be voting for 6. I'd go 4 personally, but I don't necessarily have a strong reason for why I'd go 4.
Yeah.
But to me, 4 makes sense. Who are the people that are going to be playing between 4 and 6 tables? A lot of those people are going to be your better players in theory. So, I mean, if you want to look at it from that standpoint and you want to make the game sort of fair and make it even, to me, it seems like less tables is going to be better, even though it works against me personally in my 110% rake back stream goal, where I want to make the most rake back that anyone has ever made on the site. to me 4 makes sense. If we're gonna be 4 and 6, if those are the 2 options, to me 4 makes sense.
I mean, I preferred 4. Like I said, I don't think it's totally clear cut. Like 1 table cap is going to make for the best game quality by far, but I don't think it's the right decision for a lot of reasons. Boredom, and we just don't get a lot of players to bother if they can only play 1 table. So somewhere, it's not purely about just best quality games, because I don't think 1's the answer. But yeah, I don't know. And that's another thing that as we get data, as we have players, we might be able to learn a little bit more about it.
You can alter that, right? Yeah, I think that's definitely something to keep in mind. I mean, when I think about operating a good game, I look at Fortnite as a great example, where the way Fortnite works is they're constantly making changes and listening to the community. The community doesn't like something, or if the data they're getting back says some weapon's trash or some addition's trash, and they don't like it, or they're not using it, or they're not playing that game type, they're quick to modify that. And they don't stick around with the same thing for years and years and years and years. And I can understand a lot of that has to do with being able to develop it behind the scenes in the software. So it's not necessarily that easy for everybody. That's something we don't see in poker very often at all. We've seen stars maybe make some changes due to player feedback on occasion. But for the most part, your complaints and your feedback go into an area where it's just a black hole. So if you are a site that operates and listens to the players, a la stars back in the day when they were very open to player feedback, I think that's a great way to build that connection with the players that play on your site by showing them, we are listening to what you're saying. We are taking these into account, and we are going to apply it if we think it is a great idea or a good suggestion. So I think establishing yourself as a site that actually listens to the players, when most of the sites now have been established as they don't give a fuck what you got to say as the player. I think that's an important thing of just building authenticity and building a connection and building a rapport as an operator with the consumers and the players that are going to be playing on your site.
Yeah, I mean, we'll be doing that. We have been doing. I mean, like the streamer program was not our idea, and obviously that wasn't a community idea necessarily. It was a friend and Run It Once Pro, but we definitely like look. There are always things players are good. Like people are always going to want better games and lower rake, of course, but there are also a lot of good ideas that come out of the community. And I just like it would. I think it would be. Go ahead.
Who's gonna know better? Let me ask you a question. Who's gonna know better about some suggestions for poker? Is it gonna be people that have played thousands of hours of poker and dedicate their lives to it, or is it gonna be some guy in a suit who's looking at the spreadsheet over in Canada or wherever they're at right now, Isle of Man? They're sitting. I mean, listen. Who's gonna have ideas that also think about it come from a standpoint where it benefits the site, but also benefits the players and benefits the game overall? Who is going to have better ideas than some of the smartest poker players in the entire world, which you have access to? And if you don't, they'd be more than happy, I'm sure, to have a discussion with you and sit down and talk about these things. So leveraging them and utilizing their ideas and at least taking them into account, it seems almost preposterous not to do that.
Yeah.
If you have, it's just that seems crazy not to at least listen to these people who have dedicated their entire lives to the game.
Yeah, I luckily have a lot of people in the company that have played poker professionally, and we do a lot of talking and a lot of thinking about every decision, but still we'd be arrogant to believe that we're going to have the best answer to everything. And that's one of the other things I'm excited about with launching is just we're going to get people playing and we're going to get feedback. We're going to get people talking about it. And I've seen in the past when people have had suggestions for PokerStars or for other sites in general, and they don't get replied to or taken into account. I think we'll get a lot of good ideas from the community as we go. And the one thing that is frustrating is like I sometimes get good ideas. And I'm like, yeah, we want to do that too. Mm-hmm. We have to wait because it's not ready. But I mean, for example, this is like a groundbreaking idea, but after our last beta test, people were not only in the test, but people on forums that were seeing videos or images of the table were like, I really don't like the perspective on the board cards because we have the table, in like a 3D perspective, and the cards match the table, and they said we really want flat cards, so we added flat cards. They haven't seen them yet because we haven't had another beta since, but there'll be flat cards in our next beta. So we definitely want to hear from the community. And I think we'll get a lot of good ideas as we go along, just through open discussion with the community about challenges we face, like challenges that online poker faces.
Mm-hmm. I got a challenge for you, Phil.
Okay.
When the site launches, I want to play you heads up. The final words of Joe Ingram 1. Phil, when your site launches, I want to play you in a 1v1 match. Is this possible? Can we set up a special? Are we going to jail if we do this?
I'm not.
We're going to a Maltese prison. Okay.
I'm not allowed to play on the site.
Fuck. Okay.
But I can play you. I can give you a free roll, but you're gonna have to give me. You're gonna have to go out and recruit 1,000 players, and then I'll just give you a heads up free roll.
What do you mean?
No, I mean I can't play you for money. I can't win money on our site.
We can play for free.
No, I mean I can give you like a whatever. Like we play a sit and go for, I don't know, $5,000 free roll for you.
Okay.
Or like a heads up freeze out for a free roll for you. But then I guess like, I don't know, you just got to make a lot of content about it, hype it up. So we get our $5,000.
That's the whole goal of this plan is to make an event. We're making an event, baby. This is an event right here.
Yeah. All right. We got it.
I'm excited. I'm coming for you, kid. I'm fucking coming. Listen, I got a goal. My goal is I want to crush 2 poker site owners in 1 month. You and Rob Young. Rob Young, I'm coming for Rob. Rob, I'm going to destroy you, kid. I'm coming for Rob Young. And I'm telling you right now, this guy he said, challenge me on my podcast, Phil. Challenged me yesterday in a text message. I'm coming for this guy, Rob Young. I'm coming for you, Rob. And I'm going to fucking destroy you 1v1. I don't know if we're going to play 1v1. Never mind. But maybe we'll play in a ring setting. And in that case, more fair for all of us. So it kind of, it is what it is. Maybe I'll play Phil Nagy in a little heads up match too. Phil, listen, you ready? You're watching. I'm ready to play. Let's go. Let's get it. Let's get after it, man.
I guess the more site owners you play, the better chance you beat 2 in a month.
Wait, what?
The more you play, the more different site owners you play, the better chance you're going to beat 2 of them.
That's a great point. That's true. Maybe I can play one of the Stars people as well too. I'm not sure. Maybe this is like a big thing where I just go around challenging site owners to play heads up on their sites, or maybe not on their site. That might be a bad idea. Maybe that's a bad idea. Let's get some questions from the chat out there, guys. I see people asking about U.S. players, and if you're a U.S. listener listening to this, and you were unaware that you're not allowed to play on the site, well, Phil's going to tell you right now that you're not allowed to play on the site.
Yeah, unfortunately, we're not allowed to accept U.S. players because we're licensed and regulated, and by places that don't let us break the laws in the U.S.
What are we detecting VPN? Are we going to team view VPN or direct access?
Yeah.
What is the status on this? Are you shutting them down?
Shutting them down.
Gordon Bayo style, you shutting them down, Phil?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, guys.
I mean, obviously, I wish that I wish we could let everybody play, but we can't. And
so you're telling me the Panorama guys they can't play? Well, there's no tournaments yet. You got to worry about that, right? No, never mind. Okay, no tournaments quite yet. It's all right. It is what it is.
I like my.
Is this a secret? I don't. Am I exposing something? I don't know. I'm not sure.
I like my out of jail life. So.
Would you go to jail if that happened? Oh my God.
If one person VPN'd, I'm sure I wouldn't. But if we let everybody, then could be a problem.
I'd be willing to bet you wouldn't go to jail if that happened.
I'd rather not try to find out. I mean, what percentage? What percent jail risk is acceptable? Is a like 1 in 200 chance of going to jail acceptable for?
This is a great question. I don't know how to think about this more.
My number's very low. I like my life. I'd like to keep it.
Sure, the second in command ain't ready to take over. And this is what I learned from Narcos, that the second in command he's always on standby, ready to go.
I actually haven't thought about that.
Yeah, he's ready to load it up, man. He's ready to load it up there for sure. What were the questions from the chat here? Okay, so hold on. What were that? Have you been warned or prepped by the FBI? That's true. Are you in contact with the FBI or CIA to have some sort of backdoor code into the program like Facebook and Google?
No.
Okay.
I didn't know that was.
Howard Letter didn't go to jail and he stole $50 million. That's a good point.
That is a good point.
That's a great point. That's a great point. Let me ask you a question, Phil. What do you think is worse? Would you be stealing hundreds of $1 millions from your players and ruining American players' lives and changing the entire history of online poker forever, or the previous option? What do you think?
I think that what Phil Till did is worse.
Yeah, I think so too. Ray Batar. I mean, I saw Ray Batar's wedding. He didn't look like he was in jail to me.
Yeah.
You see that wedding he had?
I didn't. It was an out of jail wedding, though.
It was a very it was one of the most epic weddings I've ever seen in my life. The kind of wedding you throw when you own a poker site, Phil. Yeah. The kind of baby shower I expect you to throw for your wife, as you are currently a poker site owner. What's up with your current situation with your young child?
Due date is in less than a month.
Oh my God.
Farah is very ready to not be pregnant anymore. She's sick of it. She's been sick of it. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm like, we're in a race to see if the poker site launches first or the baby launches first. But
can I make a bet?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take the baby.
Take the baby.
I know the baby's coming. Okay.
That's what I thought you were going to say. But yeah, it's going to be a busy time. But I'm excited.
You're excited?
Yeah.
I saw Farah at Catch a few weeks back. I was with Doug, and we were sitting down, and I hear a voice. It's like, Joey. I'm like looking around. Who's on my name? Because I'm like confused. And then I see Farah sitting there. My first thought is, man, I hope we don't have an awkward interaction here between Phil and Doug. Like, both my guys. I don't want to have something weird here. And then I look around the table, and I was like, I didn't see. I was like, I didn't think Phil was here. And then you weren't there though. So, but I didn't recognize her at first. And she looked at me. She's like, did you not know who I was? I was like, no, I just looked around expecting to see Phil, and I didn't see Phil. So I was confused. I was like, who is this? Like, it just didn't strike me in a moment in time. And then yeah, that was. He's like, yeah, I never come to the strip, but I came out here to meet some friends. And
yeah, I was in Malta. So
that's what I thought. What's a question from the chat from Money Monk? Money Monk asks, about the hand histories. So there'll be no hand histories allowed. We won't be able to go over the hands after the fact, or what's the current?
You're going to get. So this is actually something I announced maybe in the first or second update, and then this is one thing that we got some debate in the community, kind of on both sides, but have been reconsidering. But the plan right now is to you'll get your hand histories 24 hours later, and they will have hole cards exposed
for everybody.
Yes, but they will have hole cards exposed, but the screen names will be anonymized. So, like, you still won't know if Bob on one table is Joe on the other table.
Mm-hmm.
And some people felt that it would be better to hide the hole cards, but show you like account names. And we've gone back and forth on it a lot. We're going to stick with what we have now for launch because we're not sure what's going to be best, and it's already built that way. But that's one thing that some people disagreed with, and I mean, some people agreed, some people disagreed, and we've been talking about internally a lot. But for right now, that's what we're going with. So you'll get the hands 24 hours later. Believe just auto download it into your hand history folder. I think there are other ways, certainly other ways to request them as well. But so, yeah, so you won't have anything in real time, no. But you'll get all your hands.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically the Ignition model. Ignition, you download your hand histories 24 hours unless you forget. Like I've been known to forget all of my hand histories on there.
So ours, you won't have to click something to download them.
Okay, I like that a lot because I missed out on so many of my Ignition hand histories because I forgot to download them, and then they're only available for a certain period of time, and then I never got to see them again. So now I have all these hands that I don't get to put into my my Hold'em manager. So it's a little sad actually. But okay, so I thinking more about that. I don't necessarily have I haven't thought about it ever, so I don't really have a strong opinion on if it should be the Ignition style where you don't get to see the screen names, or if it should be the hole cards are hidden, but you can see which players are which. What's the argument from the players who decide the other way? What's kind of their reasoning for why they would like to see who they're playing against outside of just curiosity on knowing who they're playing against?
The two reasons, I mean, the main one that they said is basically they think that it's easier for them if the community wants to combine their databases and detect collusion or bots or something. If they have like the screen names attached to them, they don't think that seeing the whole cards is as useful as seeing the screen names for that purpose. And then another small concern was like some people, especially like if we have 10, 20 games where the player pool is really small, some people worry that their opponents would be able to know who they are and see their strategies. Just because, I don't know, if we only have a handful of people playing in those games regularly, then somebody might be exposing their strategy. So those are the two concerns on that end.
Well, that seems like a really big concern right there. If you only have a limited player pool and you are able to then see how that person plays on all their tables and then maybe put their hands in there and build their strategy, and then you can identify their strategy through their play when you go play with them in the future, and they don't have that against you, that does seem like a pretty big advantage. That
well, you would have, I mean, it would be obviously the same for everybody, what's shared. And I don't know, I think it would take a really small player pool and a really distinct style for you to be like, okay, this is that guy. Because it's a new screen name every table.
Right.
So I would get it if we have a really small player pool and it's somebody who just has like a much different style than the other regulars, or uses a really distinct raise size preflop and refuses to change it. Then I can see that concern as well. But I do also, I mean, the fact of the matter is, in terms of like seeing somebody's strategy, is that if you have screen names attached and a bunch of players combine a database, you're going to get a lot of showdowns. You're going to learn somebody's strategy that way as well.
Right.
So this way we prevent combining of databases, or at least you can try, but you have to guess who everybody is every single time.
Yeah, I think first instinct it would be to have it the Ignition style where you get all the hand histories, but you don't get to see the screen names after the fact. But
that's what we're going with. I think it's a reasonably close decision, and one we'll keep talking about. But that's what it's going to be for now. So you can definitely review all your hands and import them into whatever database you want to use. It's just 24 hours later.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the downside that I saw from just the whole entire anonymous model when it was first announced that you're going to be anonymous was that you know, a big part of poker, I think, and what makes cash games great is that you get to follow your favorite players. You get to see players grind up their stakes, and you get to see people putting in a lot of volume, and then you get to see their personalities on the forums or on social media, or you get to watch the high stakes and watch Isildur battle it out with somebody like that. And I think that's always been a huge draw for me at poker personally. But when I compare it to what's currently happening now and everywhere else in the online poker world, is that well, that doesn't necessarily exist almost anywhere anymore. The idea of railbirding games just isn't as popular. And a lot of that's because you don't know who the players are for the most part. So it's like, why do you care who Finnish guy 67? You don't give a fuck what Finnish guy 67 is doing. You don't know where he came from. You don't know anything about him. Whereas
Well,
Ben
he
86
probably came from Finland.
well, I mean, did he? I don't know. It might have.
That's
Might
true.
be you. Might be trying to throw you off. But in the day, you knew where all these guys came from. You knew where Phil Galfond came from. You knew where Tom Durdwan came from. You knew where Ben 86 came from. You know where Gila Liberté's 25 accounts came from. You didn't know which one county plan, but you knew it was Gila Bang Bang. But you know, is that not? Let me take that back. But you knew you kind of had a good idea who these players were, where they came from, and that's always been a very big thing. I just love that I want to know who's playing. I want to watch the best players and I want to know who they are. But when I compare it to what's happening, that doesn't happen anywhere anymore. A lot of the high stakes have gone underground and they're on sites that are never going to be reported, and no hand histories are going to be shared on the 2+2 high stakes thread. So that isn't as big of a factor these days. But you also did mention that you maybe had a different plan for those higher stakes games and for the Railbird experience. And where's things stand with that right now?
Yeah. So, I mean, there are definitely pros and cons to an anonymous system, and that's a big con is like the railbirding. For higher stakes games, it'll be a much different experience, and it'll be tailored to railbirding because that's like the value of those games. Honestly, poker sites like this has been said some places and people tend to not believe it, but it is true. Like poker sites don't make money from the high stakes games. They lose money on the high stakes games due to increased, like, first of all, like compared to the stakes, they're not paying that much rake. They're depositing and withdrawing a lot of money, which costs the site a lot of fees. And then there's a lot more security efforts going towards the high stakes games that the site obviously pays for. So they end up losing money on the highest stakes games, but they're a marketing expense. They're there because those are the people that everybody aspires to be. Those are the people that people want to watch. So I think that like our approach is to treat it more like a marketing tool and build something that's more tailored to the Railbird experience. But if we go all the way back to my first update, I mentioned that, you know, that's not going to be ready at launch. We're going to launch just our kind of basic cash games and try to do them really well, and then add everything on top. That might be the first thing to go in next. I'm not sure though.
I think one big thing I like about the whole streamer idea is that if you have more streamers creating content from the site, that gives more opportunity for highlight moments to happen and potentially viral moments to take place. And therefore, that is going to be some of the easiest marketing material that you're ever going to have, because you're not necessarily paying a company for that, or you're not paying for that. That's provided to you by the streamer, and then it comes down to the actual community itself embracing it and then spreading that information or that content out there, and then getting more people to see it and have this snowball effect. And I think in poker right now, that's one big thing we don't see is engagement amongst the actual players that are successful at the game. I feel like right now everything's become so segregated that you have streamer X with their own community who talk to their own community and maybe like one friend in poker. And then you have this streamer who talks to himself, and this streamer talks to himself. And then you have the high stakes tournament players and high stakes cash games players who aren't very active in the community overall in terms of on social media, where a lot of people pay attention to things. So you don't really get this community-wide engagement on a topic unless it's the main event or unless it's the 300K Super High Roller Bowl. And I feel like having that community-wide engagement and discussion on what's taking place is what builds things to be interesting to other people who aren't in the know, or even people that are in the know. And then they see me and you discussing a topic, and then they see Jason Kuhn coming in and discuss that topic. Then they see Ben Salsky adding his 2 cents to that topic too. Well, now they want to know more about the topic because they hear some of the influencers who are the great players in that community discussing that topic. And I think that's something that we just don't see much of take place anymore. And I think if you have a team of people like you have at Run It Once with your professionals and with people that support you, I feel like that engagement from those people is going to be very important for site success and for brand success and for poker overall success. And I really hope that's something we start to see more of again in the future, because I feel like that's gone away almost completely since the World Series of Poker ended. There's been no, even like yesterday, there's this prop bet about the guy staying for 100K in a bathroom for 20, 30 days straight or whatever. And this is a topic that could be huge, but it requires more discussion and more posting and more talked about from people who people care about. And then I saw Liv Marie posted about it, and I was like, oh, this is how things spread. Now it's on Deadspin. Now it's on these bigger sites. So that's the blueprint for how you grow a story or grow something. Is you take that, you have people engage with it, you have people give their feedback on it. Media sites pick it up, they put it out there. More people engage, more people see it, more people put it out there. And I feel like this is something that could be applied to Run It Once as well, and to almost any poker site or stream or content, because the model's there and the model works out, and it's just a matter of getting after it and then making it happen.
I completely agree with everything you just said. I don't. It's hard to force it though. Like there needs to be something topic worthy or discussion worthy. So how do you build that out of kind of? I mean, you can try to build events that happen. Like
exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
That's kind of what you need to do, is to build things that happen.
Right. Let's take an example. We had Kate Hall versus Mike Dintali. Those two played heads up, right? You have two players who literally are not heads up players. We could debate if they were making money at poker or not. I don't know their finances. I don't know if they're making money at poker. I don't know how that all works out. I don't pay attention. I'm not sure what's going on. But you had these two players play heads up, and it became an actual event. This became something people tuned in for, anticipated. There was coverage and podcasts before I made a video. Doug made a couple podcasts with them. They created an event out of two full ring live cash game players playing a heads up, high stakes, no limit hold'em against each other. So if you're that thing can be that model can be replicated so easily with things. And then that creates an event. People talk about the event, and those things can be done in an online setting as well. They can be done in a live setting as well. And I feel like you have the opportunity and the ability to facilitate those type of things as well too, with just big advantage you have is just the access to all these players that other sites and other people, they don't have that access to. That's a huge advantage that you have.
Yeah. All right. You're hired. You're hired. So
what am I working on? No, I'm shutting down the fucking spot. Bro,
all right. That's your only job.
People ask me what I've been doing this year. This is what I've been doing this year. Learning all about this stuff. And when I look at the marketing done in poker, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? This is it's crazy how much how poor it is. I'm not trying to, bang anybody specifically out there. We got some shitty fucking marketing going on of top level products and content. And I mean, we could say I'm guilty of that myself too with my own podcast for sure, but it's something I'm learning and getting better at. And promoter Joey, I'm not promoting nothing, man. I'm promoting shutting down bots. All right. Durr versus Doug would be legendary. Can we set that up, Phil?
I don't know. Probably it'd be hard.
Yeah, probably.
We could try.
Probably. It'd probably be hard to set up here.
Yeah.
Let me see what else I got on my list right here. We got the beta testing. Oh yeah, Run It Once YouTube channel, Phil. Run It Once YouTube, Poppy. Let's talk about this. What's going on over there?
We launched the YouTube channel this summer, and some fun videos following me through our like the main guy running our channel you met, named Colin. He came out, he followed me for several days as I played tournaments, just sat there all day, and actually the second one that he followed me in managed to catch me winning one. So we had a good 3 video series. It was fortunate timing.
I love it, Phil. You just win.
Yeah, well, I won one.
It's not a big deal. I had a guy record me for a few days and played a few tournaments and won one. It's not just a World Series event, not a big deal.
And that's what happened. And so we had a few videos there that people really liked. He filmed a lot of interviews with Run It Once pros. We're kind of like we've been cutting those together into like kind of like one question at a time. We gave them a bunch of questions, and we're doing those. We're also putting up clips from training videos that we think are interesting, and we're actually, I mean, once we launch, we'll have a lot more content to work with, but our kind of goal so far, and what I think we've executed well so far, mostly thanks to Colin, is just like really high production value and quality. But I want to grow it some more and get some more kind of more engaging content as we go. Maybe I'll consult with you.
I mean, we talked about this plenty. Me and you talked about plenty of times. It's tough when you have all your energy focused on the site, and then you still like playing as well too. Sometimes you go through your month, maybe you just play a week or two. I don't, maybe you get excited. You walk to the aria, and all of a sudden you're playing for a $200,000. I don't know. Maybe it just happens to you. It seems like so when you have your when you have your energy spread out here and there, it's really hard to be like, okay, now I'm on YouTube. It's tough. I know how the kind of mental energy it takes to build a successful YouTube strategy, and it's if I'm running a poker business, that's hard to do.
It's also a challenge too, because I mean, those were some of the first videos we came out with, were following me and my journey, and people kind of approached it as my kind of personal vlog, but it's a company YouTube channel, and I mean, those definitely, it's a run at once YouTube channel, and that is sometimes harder to build a following than an individual's YouTube channel where people connect with that one person. But we want to get a lot of other people involved. We want to get other content creators involved, and different kind of just fun stuff, poker stuff. But once we launch, like you said, we'll have streamers potentially having some exciting moments that they catch on their streams that we could
send them all to me. Streamers, give me all the moments you have. I'm here.
Yep.
I'll give you the exposure through my my platforms I have too, which have been growing at a decent rate, but I haven't put much effort into growing the Instagram and the Twitter streets. But
it's hard to do. It's hard that there are so many. There should just be like, I sound like an old person, but there should just be like one or two, and then you could do it.
I mean, it depends what your goals are. A lot of times, I mean, I kind of believe that. I think I've had a lot of growth on Instagram, but I put a small percentage of effort into that. And if I feel like if I went all in on just Instagram completely, I could really blow that off the top. But when you're trying to grow Twitter and you're trying to grow YouTube, I mean, I kind of believe that your YouTube, in terms of in poker, your poker ability or your YouTube content is sort of what grows you in poker. The better you are at poker, specifically Texas Hold'em tournaments, the better you are at that, the easier it's going to be for you to grow your audience when you put yourself out there. And then when it comes down to streaming and vlogging, the more consistent you are, the more successful that's going to be when you put yourself out there. So there's a couple of different avenues of things, but I feel like right now, the Instagram and Twitter that growth comes from other things. It doesn't come from you putting effort into being good at those things like that.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. I've not done a good job. I mean, I haven't personally, like my personal accounts, I don't do a good job with anything. Twitter's the only one that I actually have used because I just want to. But I don't really have any GTO strats. I always think like, oh, I have software I use for whatever work, and then to-do lists and things like that. And it always pops up every month as like, hey, work on your backlogging some Twitter content, or try to do better on Instagram. And then I just push it back another month because there's other stuff going on, and it never really happens. But it does seem like, for me especially, a lot of wasted potential because I have a pretty big, relatively speaking, Twitter following without really trying to do anything. And so if I actually put some effort in, I think it would be
right. That kind of goes back to my initial point, which is that you have these following just because of how good you are at poker, and from teaching people through the training site and through providing a lot of value in many different ways. So that's you get that by default. Whereas some people have to put effort into building a strategy. You are one of those people. I think like Fedor's another one of those people as well too. Doug to some extent, but he also put a lot of effort into it too to build these kind of things up. So, but there are certain people in certain fields that sort of transcend a strategy. They don't need a strategy. They're just great at what it is that they do, and they have a good strategy at that, which then by default opens up the ability to be good at these other things too. So, I mean, I feel like for you personally, probably a lot better to focus on the poker side.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. So, okay. I'm glad you agree. I was doing the right thing.
100% agree. I think it's way better to focus on the actual poker site, because if the poker site's successful and it crushes, it does well, or even if I always can't believe this isn't a bigger story in poker, because you have a player who started playing sit-and-goes back in the day in 2000s, now coming up and creating an actual poker site that has potential to be something incredibly special in the poker community, something players have been asking for years since Full Tilt went down. This is something people have been asking about, dreaming about, a player who has the poker players' thoughts in mind, who thinks about how they think, who wants to grow the game and wants to preserve the dream. The idea that this would not be, and I understand it's been a couple of years now, so that support, are you gonna be going crazy for 2 years straight? No, maybe not. I agree. But it still surprises me the lack of support that we've seen from not only players, but from fans in the poker community for what you're doing right here. So
we get like on the threads, every time I put up an update, there's a thread on Run Once training. We get a lot of responses on and kind words and enthusiasm, and the updates, on Twitter, get a lot of action as well, and a lot of articles actually. I mean, within poker media, nothing outside of poker media. So it's not. I mean, the poker world, I think, is certainly noticing the outside of the poker world, not at all. Which perhaps is a failing on my part, or perhaps there's more to talk about once it's up and running, and it's a potentially a success story rather than a hey, we're working on something story.
It's all about how you sell it, Phil.
Yeah.
You don't think it's a success story? A man who was playing high stakes online poker and then built a training site with his team and then decided to build a online poker site in $1 billion industry, competing against sites like a PokerStars, like GBC Holdings, like a crooked America's Card Room with Phil Nagy down in Costa Rica with no security team. You don't think a story like that's a success story? I tend to disagree. I mean, it's all about how you when you look at it from that standpoint, it's incredibly successful. When you look at it from the standpoint of, is it a successful poker site yet? Well, no, it's not yet. It's a fucking brand new site. So of course it's not going to be successful yet. But I find a lot of excitement, enjoyment, and entertainment in the story and the progress of it, and being a part of it from the beginning, and then seeing it progress here, and then seeing it progress a year from now, and then seeing it progress 3 years from now. I feel like that's going to be a special moment for myself and for other people out there, no matter what. Just saying that I was here on the ground floor. We have a person in charge of the site who has been incredibly transparent with us through videos, through content, through writing. And that's something that we don't see very often in many industries. And it kind of goes back, it's actually a Fortnite model too, which is what Fortnite does. They are very, very open and transparent with the players on these type of things. And the people who are in charge of the company with Fortnite and with Epic are very vocal on Twitter and through YouTube content. And we've seen that model work really well in terms of having a relationship. Even PokerStars, PokerStars did that back in the day. They had a great relationship with the players.
Yeah,
that worked out well.
Yeah, they were loved they were universally loved in the poker community for sure.
And now?
Less so.
Yeah, a little bit less so. What else is on your mind, Phil? What else got you fired up here lately, buddy? What else you been doing?
Honestly,
you been getting out of the house or what?
No, this is what I've been doing. I mean, I was in the offices in Malta, but otherwise, no. I'm in the house. I'm in my office where I'm sitting right now, and
we gotta get you out of the house, bro. We had Thanksgiving. What'd you do for Thanksgiving? Where'd you go?
Actually, we stayed here because I usually go to Maryland where my family's at, but Farrah's too pregnant to make that trip. So my dad came in, and it was just a small little Thanksgiving. We had steak. We didn't have turkey. Were you here?
Maybe.
Okay, it's a secret what you did for Thanksgiving.
I was celebrating Thanksgiving in style. Let's put it like that.
All right.
No, I was here. I'm in my own world. You know me, Phil. I'm in my own world. I'm just here with my only one side of my face that grows facial. I'm just here, Phil. I'm just being here. So we gotta record some content. We're gonna be making some new pot limino videos that people loved. The series of videos me and you did. We did 2 or 3 PLO videos. We did one Texas Hold'em hand where you tried to bluff.
I got.
No, I'm sorry. He bluffed you. My bad. He bluffed you. Sorry.
He tried to bluff me. No spoilers. We don't know what happened.
That's true. He tried. I ruined it already. It's literally happened 10 years ago. But it did it? I'm not sure.
I think so. Yeah.
I think it was a long time ago now. Yeah. You got bluffed, unfortunately, by the businessman. One of the sickest one of the sickest businessman's bluffs on poker television so far.
It was a great bluff.
He's like, all right, you see this quieter online guy? We're going to try to bluff him huge here on the river. And we're going to try to make him fold. Smart man, I liked it. And we also recorded a video about downswings too. So I think it's about time we get back together.
What did people like the most?
That's a good question. I have to go back and check. I feel like they love the PLO videos. They liked the downswing video, and they like the Texas Hold'em video too.
So they like, okay. So they were good. We did a good job.
They universally like. Some people said I talk too much during the PLO videos, and by some I mean like one person. I know, that's why I was like, I want to punch you in the fucking face, but it is what it is. I didn't talk too much during the PLO video. I'm fired up. Me and Phil talking PLO. That's like, that's like a drug, man. I don't know. I feel like the people need a little bit more of that. So we're gonna be giving them a little bit more of that videos together. Check my list here. Bum bum bum. You been watching any poker content lately, Phil?
I throw on Poker Go every once in a while. I really enjoyed they did a horse week, like 2 days of horse. I enjoyed that a lot just because it was the guys that play in Bobby's room, and I think you got like a good sense. Just, I don't know. The games in there are like, if they had a camera in Bobby's room or in Ivy's room, it would be the most entertaining poker content that there is. But you got a little taste of it, I think, there. And then I heard also this last week they did some No Limit single draw, which, I don't know. They had Bill Baxter in there telling his stories, which he's a really good storyteller, fun guy to play with. But yeah, I other than that, that's most of what I watch, and some of your stuff every once in a while.
Bing bang. I've been actually thinking about start watching more poker content, because I've realized that I think that's a big thing, is if you're not watching what's happening out there, how can you really be in touch and in tune with what the vibe is and where the special moments are? Because I feel like there are a lot of special moments currently taking place that I'd be happy to promote and put out there and post and talk about. But if I'm not watching them and no one is posting them, then how am I personally ever going to find them? And how is a casual poker fan, or even somebody like yourself, supposed to find these things? You mentioned a great example, Billy Baxter stories. I haven't heard them. Where are they at? I want to hear them. Why are they not getting to me?
Yeah.
If they're not getting to me, they're not getting to a lot of the poker fans out there.
That's true. It's tough. There are only so many hours in a day. It would definitely be good for me to watch a lot more poker content than I do. I mean, I don't think I'm out of touch with poker, but yeah, I should watch more than I do. I just start my day, and then the day is over before I know it. And
yeah, I guess my big thing is that I just think all the content being live streams just can't be good, because you have these 6 to 7 hour blocks of content with Poker After Dark, with the Twitch streams, with Live at the Bike. Shout out to my guys Live at the Bike. Shout out to my man Wayne Chiang in the chat right now. Shout out to Feldman. And you have even like the Stones, you have even WPT, and this is another good example, is the Party Poker. They had a 25K stream where Steve O'Dwyer was heads up against Roger Tesla, and they were battling. That was some fun poker. I'm not a big fan of Heads Up No Limit. That was some fun poker to watch. Fun hands. People were talking about on Twitter, but did I see the hands? No. Did I see the moments posted? No. Did I see you have Steve O'Dwyer, debatably one of the top Nolan Hold'em players in tournaments in the entire world? Depends who you ask. If you ask Patrick Leonard, I'm sure he's going to say he's one of the worst. And if you ask some of the Germans, they're going to talk shit about Americans. It happens. It is what it is. But you have Steve O'Dwyer, heads up, 25K event, $2 million first place, making some very sick plays there, sick bluffs. Some got through, some didn't. And there's no discussion about that. You have a top player in the industry, heads up for a $2 million title. No one discussing it. No one talking about it at all. No one saying anything about it.
Yeah. So then, I mean, with all the streams, it's just too many hours of content out there for everybody to watch. So exactly. You think just they need to be repackaged
100%
better? Yeah.
Need to be repackaged better. The actual sites operating the streams need to have more focus on sharing those highlight moments that take place during these events, because in poker, the most popular thing, unless Doug's talking shit about someone, is going to be the poker hands themselves. Those are never going to get old. Are we ever going to want to get tired of watching somebody check raise bluff and then YOLO it off 2 streets, heads up for a title in a tournament? I'm not going to get sick of that person. That's still find that pretty fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough though. If let's take Poker Go, for example, if you're comparing an 8-hour Poker After Dark to a 1-hour Poker After Dark that they used to put on TV, edited and all that. I'm sure the 1 hour part is as expensive, maybe more expensive than just the 6 hour stream or 8 hour stream where they don't have to do any editing. Obviously, and so if they're not seeing, if they're seeing a similar number of viewers, I don't know. You know what I'm getting at? Like,
right.
it's actually it's easy to put up a stream. It's easier.
Right. Is it? Well, I mean, I know how much money people are spending. They're spending a lot of fucking money on this thing.
Yeah. No, Poker Go is different. That's like a whole crew and everything. But like
I would love to debate how much money they're spending per episode on Poker After Dark, because it's a lot of money, and that's even more of an argument to me to repurpose some to package the best content. So you have a 6 hour horse, Phil. There's no fucking way I'm watching 6 hours of horse, brother. Okay, I don't care if you have God himself at the table with Dan Bilzerian, you, Doug Polk. You put my favorite people in the entire world playing 6 hours of horse. They could be playing 10 million, 25 million, where the one guy dies at the end. I might watch that 6 hours of horse, but I'm not watching 6 hours of horse under any other circumstances. But I got an hour in me. I got 30 in me. I got an hour 45 in me to watch. I got a couple of hands that took place to watch when you battled in a heads up pot and 2-7 triple draw when you tried to do some sort of sick move against him and he soul rage down.
Yeah, he would, wouldn't he?
You know, I'm a fan of that, but I don't know. I'm just thinking about this from this content perspective, man. It's you can't, if you have all these 8 hour moments, these 8 hour streams, and then the best moments are not being able to be watched. Like, how are you ever going to get mainstream coverage out there? Because we've seen some moments where Kelly Minkin, for example. So Kelly Minkin had this is a perfect example, Phil. So Kelly Minkin, Friday Night Poker. She had the 7 deuce hand she played against, who was it against? Was it against Justin Young. So she has a 7 deuce hand. The only reason this hand takes place during there, I'm in the studio. I'm watching it on TV. I see the TV and I'm like, holy fuck, that was one of those. That should be a hand everyone in poker watches. That's hilarious hand. It's Kelly Minkin dressed up in a costume, 7 deuce, taking a very unorthodox, debatably bad line, and then that's it. So I decide, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to make a video out this hand. I'm going to promote the hand on social media. I'm going to put it on my Twitter, put it on my Instagram. It's going to have that Twitter views, Instagram views, YouTube. And then what happens? Barstool post it. Shout out to my guy, Nate. Barstool post it. Then it gets that extra coverage right there. Then maybe Poker News talks about it. And then it starts snowballing from there how would a mainstream site that can potentially help market poker like a Barstool Sports, they never find it if no one ever posts it.
Yeah.
So you have moments that no one posts, no one talks about. If they don't post, you talk about growing the game. Well, you grow the game through the highlight moments that happen. And a lot of industries are a lot better than that than others. And I think in poker, we see that emphasis or importance. Do you want 50,000 views on a 3-minute hand? No. Okay. I don't. All right. Well, maybe not. Okay. I guess they don't. I'm not sure why.
Yeah. I mean, Poker Go I'll see on Twitter and Instagram, like highlights from every show. But it doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Every show.
No.
No.
Is it not?
Not every show, no.
Okay. I see him somewhat often, like a couple hands individually, but I don't know that it gets much action. So I don't know. I mean, what the secret sauce is, or whether it's picking the right hands, or people only have a tolerance for so many big hands per week that like can get big. But
I mean, listen, we take a look at what Doug Polk did. Doug Polk built up his YouTube audience through consistently breaking down Nolan Hold'em hands, often those hands years old.
Yeah.
So you have not only entertainment of the hand, you have the entertainment of a personality, you have the entertainment of some extra strategy on there. People didn't get sick of that. They loved that, kept growing more and more. These are old hands.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
the hand, if it's a fun hand, an interesting hand, for sure, I think people are very interested in those things.
Yeah, that works.
So I'm just trying to think about this stuff from all. You know me, I sent you that text message the other day.
Yeah.
I was fired up. Dude, I was listening to something and I know Brent says slow down. I can't help it, man. I'm just I don't know. Mark Rubin says, Joey, do you think we need more people similar to use that will put an effort to go through all the content to find the gems? I agree. That's what I said to people. If you see a moment happen anywhere, send it to me. Message me on Twitter, message me on Instagram, say, hey, I saw this moment. It could be from a fucking Russian guy streaming that never spoke English in his life, playing 1 cent, 2 cent. You see a highlight moment, I want the highlight moment. I need that moment in my life. I need it.
Yeah, I think it takes people like you though, rather than like than a guy on PokerGo staff or a guy on Party Poker staff who is like doing. I'm just saying, like, it needs to be. I think it, as an independent person, as an independent poker personality, that's, you have the power to do that. Whereas I don't know if we, hire somebody to find all of these like bits of content, especially if it's like run and once focused. Like if we find the biggest pots played on run and once poker that are on streams and we repurpose them and tweet them out from the run and once account, I don't think that has the impact of an independent influencer like you.
I agree. It depends on the hand too.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I guess if we put it out there and then people like you find it that way, then it starts the chain of events.
Right, exactly. And then hopefully from there, people discuss the hand. Maybe there's something interesting in the hand. You have other poker players who are good discussing the hand. And then that's how you build a moment. That's how a moment's built. That's how an event's built. And if we don't put any effort or emphasis on this in poker, it's going to continue to be less, we're going down. And I think that's the point we're getting to right now, which is why I'm so vocal about this stuff, is because I see how MMA does it. I see how UFC does it. I see how esports do it.
Yeah.
This model works very well. I see how Gary Vaynerchuk does his social media strategy. Like the strategy that works is out there, and it's just they're using 2010 marketing methods in 2018 when like I don't know if that worked. There's so much more competition for your attention these days with content, with games, with websites, with applications that are designed to get you using them for a long period of time on your iPhone.
If not just individual people like you, like, is it on then media? Is it on poker media to find these things?
I think it is. Well, I mean, if we had poker media, a better poker media who was doing these stuff, yeah. But I think the people that are in poker media now are a lot mainly writers.
Yeah,
they're mainly used to writing. They have their groups of friends. They are sort of, not that excited, enthusiastic about being in poker anymore because they've just been in it for so long, and they deal with a lot of scumbags in poker world, and they see a lot of out of line activities happen, and they see poker sites fuck over players, and they see ACR operating in the black hole. And I think a lot of those people that I know are just like, what's the point? Where's the incentive to go find why am I making money? Not really.
Yeah.
Is that what they don't see the short-term incentive for themselves to reach out to that, and they stick to what they know and what they think that they do well. And I can't fault them for that. It'd be great if it was different, but we have just not seen any media companies say, hey, wow, look at that. Bleacher Report does this. Barstool does this. Wow, that works. Maybe we should do that. They're not the best at finding strategies that work. They're the good at maintaining the similar strategy they've used for years, it seems like to me.
Bang, bang.
I mean, we can.
I mean, I like a lot of people.
Guilty of this too. I'm not like I'm perfect when it comes to this sort of thing like that. I'm just learning about this kind of stuff, early learning about it in depth, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess poker probably, like, I don't know. I know that poker media in general had its huge boom with the poker boom, and then times got tough. Times got really tough, and probably like everybody had to cut back, and everybody's 100%. Discouraged. Yeah.
100%. That's a huge factor too. That's exactly what happened. You have people who used to get paid more money and make more money, and I mean, this is kind of in the chat. DSISA says you should get off this point. I think people are off this point. I agree. That's why it is what it is, because people are off the point.
Yeah.
No one cares. Like, people don't. It's not discussed. It's not a very relevant thing. It's not a very something people care about. It's not a poker hand. It's not a bluff. It's not high stakes. It's not Tom Dwan. It's not Isildur One. It's not these things. It's something, whatever. And that's what's happened. That's exactly what's happened, is people are like, let's get off this. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. We have ventured more into like dinner discussion.
we have. I mean, I definitely know we have, for sure. So let me see what else on the list here. Run up YouTube channel. We talked about that. Biggest challenge. We talked about biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest challenge you faced. Did we talk about that? Yeah, I guess we kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Let me get some shout outs. Phil, you want to give a shout out?
Shout out to Farah for being pregnant for most of 2018.
Try that one more time, Phil. This is your wife. This is the mother of your child. This is the woman.
She knows that that's like my maximum level of enthusiasm.
Let's try to step it up one more notch. Take a deep breath into your stuff. Put the Farah.
I can't do a Joey shout out.
Okay.
Shout out to my amazing, beautiful wife for carrying a baby for most of the year and being in pain for most of the year. And shout out to the Rio poker team out in the offices in Malta.
Run it once. He does not mean the Rio Hotel Spa.
No, not the Rio Hotel. Oh,
No.
shout out to them too. You know, why not?
Okay.
Mela to the guys in the office. Mela is it's a Maltese word that it means like 6 different things, but all the non-Maltese people in the office just use it for everything because we don't really know what it means. So Mela to them, and it's cool. We have a lot of people that I'm sure are watching right now that would have watched, regardless of just like watch your stuff rather than are watching because I'm on. Which is kind of like my point is that like we've got a team of people that are into poker, not just because they work at a poker site. Like we brought them in because they're
bang
into poker,
Hey Phil, listen, this is a revelation. It turns out if you're actually into poker, you're probably going to do a better job at your job in the poker. I mean, it just turns out that's a fact. You're probably going to put more passion, more energy, more effort, more care into it. And there are a lot of people out there in poker who do share that same sentiment too.
It is. I mean, it's just really refreshing, or not refreshing. I haven't done it another way, but it's really fun to just be in a meeting with, a bunch of people who understand poker and who have like our goal is doing the best thing for us and the best thing for the community and the players and just brainstorming. It's fun.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I like the whole community aspect of things. It's a big reason why I loved poker so much. When I first started playing was having friends and talking poker, talking strategy, stuff like that. Marco Nebesny says, can you ask Phil where the community can give their suggestions about poker site he is developing?
That's a good question. So we have, if you haven't seen on runatonce.eu, I have 6 posts up currently. Each one has a link to a thread on runatonce.com. So if you have any suggestions relating to any of the topics covered in those posts, I think that the forum threads on runatonce.com are a great way to be heard. Also, just like bugging me on Twitter is another good way. And writing into Joey so that he can pass them on to me is another good way. There are a lot of ways. And I think that, I mean, again, we're all poker players. We pay attention to the same things that poker players do. We check out forums, we watch podcasts, and if the discussion is happening, then it'll get to us.
I love that. Did you hear about this guy in the bathroom? We'll talk about this real quick and we'll wrap it up there. So this guy is staying in the bathroom 30 days, complete darkness, no human interaction. He gets food. He gets a Rubik's Cube. He has a bed. He has a shower. He has bathtub. He has bath utensils. 100,000 1-to-1 odds. What are we thinking about this, Phil? Is this what do you think?
I mean, it seems so. There was a long time ago. There was a similar bet, but like the guy had lights and it could have a computer. I think like regular stuff. It was just in a bathroom for a month, and I think he had worse. He got like better odds too, and that to me felt really easy. I feel like actually he didn't make it, if I'm remembering. I don't know if you remember this. It was probably like 8-10 years ago. That sounded easy to me, but this sounds extremely hard. Like the darkness, and I mean, not for nothing, he can't do anything. I mean, he's a poker player. He can't make any money playing poker while he's in there. Like, so he's taking a month off of life, and potentially, like, if he doesn't succeed, not getting paid for it. It sounds crazy hard to me. Really, the lights thing is what gets me. I think is the hardest. I don't mind, like, I don't know. I'm an introvert. I don't mind solitude for a period of time.
I'm an introvert. Put me in 30 days in a bathroom.
Put me in a bathroom 30 days. That's fine. But give me a light and a computer so I can do something. How do you even do a Rubik's Cube in the dark?
Okay, so my theory is, I don't know this for sure. I'm going to talk to the guy Rory that he made the bet with, though. My theory is he basically has it as like a fidget spinner. He just uses this and like just his thing is just play with that all day long. It's just his way to keep his hands occupied.
Okay, that would make sense.
That's my theory. I mean, listen, that's crazy.
It is crazy.
I heard this guy, his nickname, what they call is like a scumbag Rich or something. He's a big angle shooter guy. This isn't, I don't know if this is alleged. I think he's an openly acknowledged nickname. So some people are worried about him shooting some angles or anything like that. I don't really know. It seems like a
you can't have like secret lights. You're not. I don't know what he's gonna be able to.
I want to get this guy on the podcast. You know, I feel bad because they got in touch with me before they were trying to before the bet took place, and I think they wanted to do some promotion.
Yeah, that would have been good.
Me, Mr. Marketer over here, me just was not in tune with anything. Turns out, Joey, it would have been a good idea, but I just wasn't around for it, So I was in my own little world here. So.
And they said it's been over a week already.
8 days in, Phil. I think they're 8 or 9 days in.
I feel like if you get past a few days, I don't know. That seems like the big hurdle. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know anything about this, but.
So I've been doing some research, and there are darkness retreats where you can go and you pay to stay in the dark, and they give you food, they give you meals and stuff like that. But basically what this guy's doing, you pay to do this. So
I mean, but also you hear like just things about like solitary confinement driving people crazy.
Right.
I don't know.
What would be, let's say you had to, let's say I was gonna
yeah.
I'm not gonna finish the sentence of the idea I had, but let's just say that you had to do this bet. What would be your strategy? Remember, bathtub. Man. You have a bathtub. You can I think you can maybe negotiate some sort of. I feel like this guy left a lot of room for negotiation.
I do too.
Like 100K in a bet. I want to bring this. I want an hour of access to lab. Like I think there are ways you could have negotiated this bet better for your favor.
I mean, like, give me if I had a laptop or like could watch TV, it'd be easy. Except I'd have an angry wife. But without anything to do, actually the lack of productivity would drive me crazy. Like, even, I don't know, if I had a light and a pen and paper, I feel like I could at least do something useful.
I think I would want to negotiate a notebook in there.
Yeah.
Some sort of notebook, some sort of mini light or something like that. I think what I would do, what I was listening to, the guy just said he went in there with no expectations. It sort of rearranged his thought process, and he started thinking about different things and thinking about things in a different way that he previously had never thought about. And that makes sense because I think, very, very not close. But when I got an acupuncture, I was looking at the dark for like 35, 40 minutes. And I was like, damn, this would be tough to do for a long period of time. But it was also very peaceful in that you couldn't necessarily think about doing all these things because you had no chance to do them. So for me, I kind of found it kind of peaceful.
I could see that, but I would get antsy about not being able to do anything useful. That's what I think would bother me more than the darkness, or more. I mean, the darkness contributes to not being able to do anything useful, but that's what would bother me more than the darkness or the confinement or solitude.
I don't know.
I mean, give me a laptop the whole time, but no light otherwise. That'd be fine.
So you're down?
I mean, no, I get in a lot of trouble. I mean, how much am I getting paid? It'd have to be a lot.
How much money would you have to bet for you to try this bet?
I mean, our son's about to be born.
Let's keep that knowledge in, okay?
So I missed the birth.
Well, I mean, it's up to you. Maybe we do it after the thing. Okay, right now, how much money would it be?
Oh man,
is there a price?
There's always a price.
Okay.
Well, not for everything, but for most things. But man, I don't know. There's no win here. I either go too low and get in trouble, or I go too high and I just seem like I don't know.
What do you think fairest price would be to go that same bet rate? So that
for
same
her to do
after she has after she has the child. What do you think she'd have to bet to go do that bet?
Okay. She get the laptop?
No, she has to do the same bet as this guy.
I mean, I don't think she would bet at 1-to-1. I don't think she would bet on herself, but if she's just getting paid to do it.
This is a fucked up question, buddy.
Man, I don't know.
This is a question right here. I don't know how much
I'd feel a lot more comfortable if there wasn't a baby on the way. It's missing the first month of your child's life is a new aspect, adding a new dimension to the bet.
It definitely has a new dimension to it.
I have no answer.
Aye. John Lattin, you need to provide for your son, Phil. Man up and take the bet. Amen.
That's a good point.
Sasha says after the baby is born, Phil might voluntarily go to a room by himself for a month. That's true. You might pay people to go do the bet after that. So
you definitely get more sleep.
You'll get more sleep then.
You definitely get more sleep in the room.
That's true. Yeah. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up here. I was going for an hour. We went 2. It is what it is. And appreciate all the comments. Appreciate all the questions out there. If you want to watch this back, watch on YouTube channel. If you like women, hit the like button on the video. And I was trying to think of something creative there. Nothing came to me. And yeah, that's it. If you want to follow the updates with Phil, check him out on Twitter at Phil Galfond. If you want to follow the baby, check out Farah on Twitter at Farah Galfond. If you want to check out me, what I'm doing this weekend, follow me on Instagram. I'm posting stuff on my Instagram story and on my Instagram page. And that's it. Maybe a video tomorrow for sure. A video on Monday. We're going to try to do 2 podcasts next week. Not sure who it's going to be with quite yet, but I got some ideas. And that's it. Much love. Phil, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Joey.
Fun as always, guys in the chat. Much love. Peace out. Adios. Take care.